Hey guys and girls, Board now back with you. On this video I will be talking about the third episode of Hulu's miniseries Dopesick, and the episode is called The Fifth Vital Sign. So just to warn you, if you haven't seen the episode yet, I will be going into full spoilers from the start of this review, and it was another solid episode, although I didn't like it as much as the first two episodes. And the reason is just because there was like too many plot contrivances, too many like gotcha type moments where it was obviously a big dramatic turn to move the plot in a certain direction, to kind of like just moments where the certain characters realise something, and it was a dramatic sort of twist that put them on that path. And one or two you can sort of excuse, but I think there was at least three in this episode, and it was a bit too in your face the way they sort of came about. So that's kind of why I'm a little more down on this episode. But overall there was a lot of good stuff, and again, there was some compelling scenes with the characters and a good meaty sort of plot going on. So overall, I can't really fault it too much. It was just let down, I think, by a few moments which I think could have been handled more subtly. I don't necessarily say they shouldn't have done those moments, but I think they needed to craft them a bit more subtly. So I mean, the sort of moments I'm talking about is, it's revealed in this episode that there's a pain chart which is like produced by the drug company, which they've been passing off onto like hospitals, and it's the sort of chart which patients have to identify what sort of range they're in pain wise, and it's sort of quite sort of goofy and cartoonish because you've got these silly little faces that reflect supposedly what sort of pain scale you're in, and you have to choose one. And this becomes important for the district attorney cases because there's a back and forth where they're trying to get permission to get access to all like the pamphlets, promotion and documents from the drug company in order to pursue their case. And at first they go to them with this the sort of fake promotion video which they discovered last week, and the judge says, no, sorry, you need more evidence. So there's then a plot later on where one of the district attorney, it was revealed in the previous episode that he's got cancer, but luckily they've sort of caught it at an early stage, and they're treating him for it. Now I wonder if that's sort of true that he had cancer, because I do know that like the two characters, like the two attorney characters, are like the only two characters who are actually based on real characters, or they are like real characters is what I mean by name. But so I wonder if in real life that person did have cancer. But anyway, it's when he's getting treatment for the cancer, and he sort of first like discovers it. Oh, actually it's a bit different because he is offered like the tablets, the Oxycontin, he's actually offered, and he sort of finds out then they've been obviously passed on to like the hospitals, and that they're strongly recommending that they use them. So he starts getting the impression that there's pressure from the drug company to use them, and he basically refuses because of course he's been doing this investigation and he knows about some of the dangers. But there's actually a scene later on because they come across this pain chart. I think he must have discovered it in hospital or something like that, but they actually use that pain chart as part of their like deposition, and they do get permission eventually to receive all these like documents and pamphlets and various things. So they finally get the all clear from the judge to like move forward with their case. But the Michael Keaton, the doctor character Sam, he later discovers these like pain charts as well, and it's when he's in like hospital, because there's this plot where Betsy starting to really suffer and feeling the effects of her body and the consequences of the drugs. She sort of has like a mining accident, which is really serious. I mean, she injures herself badly, but also really injures some of her like work colleagues, and one of them I think potentially dies. But anyway, that sort of happens, and it's so Sam is called in because like she's in like critical sort of health, and so he rushes off, and then he has a car accident. And this is what I mean about like the contrivances building up a bit too much in this episode. So he has a car accident, which then puts him in the hospital, which then coincidentally puts him in a position where he's sort of, well, they're offering him the drugs, and I think he sees the pain chart. And also the other crucial thing is that he realises then they're now offering patients a much higher dosage at a time, which is higher than what he's been like recommending. And the deal with that is, one of the big plots in the episode is then the salespeople are being like sort of forced and talked into like recommending that the local doctors just like double the dosage sort of thing, like individualised as they're called. So we get more of that in this episode. So that's sort of the big revelation with Sam at the end of the episode. But this is what I mean. I think there are just too many coincidences like that, too many like contrivances to move the plot in a certain direction. But there's that stuff, and we are, as I said, the salesmen and women are being asked to. We get more stuff with them because there's like this competition where the prize is to go to Panama, and Billy is still trying to flirt with like the saleswoman, the attracted like saleswoman, and there's still a bit of flirting back, but there's one or two like nice moments of comedy in the episode. One of them was when she kind of dismisses him, saying that she only goes for like hot rich guys, and sort of saying he's neither. Now, okay, he might not be rich, but it's, you know, it's Will Poulter. I think to suggest he isn't that attractive, and maybe a bit harsh on her part, but that did sort of make me laugh. I guess maybe you have to be sort of like stunning sort of looks wise to really make it with her. But that sort of continues, and it becomes a whole backdrop where there's now this prize of a holiday for people who can, you know, get the top sort of percentage. So again, it's an insight into that culture and sort of tactics and how they're building new like strategies. And again, we see more of Billy like sort of sweet talking, trying to get to know Sam in this episode, but also Billy like questions stuff. I think my favourite plot of the episode is actually with Bridget in this episode. I think Rosalia Dawson is really good in that role. I think it's a really good part for a really like tough, determined sort of like character. You know, very sort of grounded as well. But yeah, in this episode, Bridget she sort of makes a discovery, and that's when there's like a robbery at a local pharmacy, and the robber is like the guy we've seen, the young guy from the previous week, who she like sort of started talking to and picked up at one point. So he's still stealing these drugs, And so when she comes in to like question the pharmacy, the owner or the person working there says then there's been pressure from like a saleswoman from the drug company to only sort of like stock Oxycontin, and his line is then they've said we can sue you if you don't sort of sell it. And so, and he gives the name, and it's the woman who like Billy's been flirting with, so she like tracks her and starts to question her, and we really get an insight into what a piece of work she is, because she denies it. She kind of twists it and says, well, I didn't say that, I said then you could be sued by the local like doctors, and she claims that, and she wasn't claiming that like the drug company could sue her. And then she really runs down like the local town kind of using the stereotype of, well, that no wonder they sleep with their sisters sort of thing, and calling them thick and stuff. And really, I think she's really effective, the actress playing that part, because she really is a cold-hearted sort of like mean-spirited sort of bitch, whereas Billy, I think, at least has some sort of a conscience, even though he's at this point sort of going along with things. But there you have it. I think there's some really good stuff with Bridget in this episode. I think that's some of my favourite stuff, because she actually gets promoted later in the episode to become like head of the task force on this, and it sort of makes her like the highest ranking official at the DEA, so that's sort of like notable. And again, I'm not sure if it's like this is based on like a true character or not, but it's something to mark her out in the episode. But things sort of take a tragic turn, because she later finds out then the youngster who's been stealing from the pharmacy has died. He's died of an OD, and again she's like really shocked. And it's at this point, it's a weird sort of scene, because she's like out on a date with her partner, who she's been seeing a while now, and he sort of catches her off guard and like proposes to her, and it's at a point in the episode where she's gotten the phone call and she's found out about the guy ODing, so she's clearly in shock. And it's just a funny sort of scene, because he proposes to her. And now bear in mind, they've only been going out 9 months, because he sort of says that. But, if things are going well and progressing, I guess 9 months isn't that short a time, if you feel ready. But anyway, I think the way the scene sort of plays out is then it appears as though she's so shocked and her mind is elsewhere, and that's almost like why she says yes to the proposal, rather than she was really thinking about it. Maybe if she might have said no, it's too soon, but it's almost like her mind was elsewhere. She was shocked. Obviously the proposal came out of nowhere, and so that's what she accepted. But yeah, there's some good stuff with her in this episode. I think her plot is definitely the best stuff, but there's some solid stuff once again overall. The other main plot is then Richard is pushing for them to sell the drug in Germany. He sees that as a vital market, and they try to broach it, and they say, well, no, that they won't do it, and the reason is because it's a stricter laws over there. They're not gonna like bend the laws so you can sell this drug. And it's sort of funny the way he turns it around later, because he says, well, it's because they're so strict in that country then I'm pursuing this, because if you can get it sold out there, then it's almost like the strictness of their laws will benefit us, because it sort of means people won't be able to touch us. And also, I think it's a respect thing. If you can have your drugs sold in Germany, then the rest will follow, sort of thing. The rest of Europe then will probably purchase it. So even though obviously he's being very sleazy and underhanded, you can at least sort of see the vision, and that was an interesting sort of spin on it at the end there with Richard. I think sometimes with him I'm not that interested. I'm not sure why. I just don't know if they're doing that much with the character or that much with the actor, but there's obviously some interesting stuff about the sort of character he is and kind of how he runs the business, and then some of the friction with the shareholders and that. So there is some interesting stuff, but once again I thought that was quite a smart angle. But okay, so that's episode 3 of Dopesick. So I'll continue with it. It's still very watchable stuff. There's some meaty stuff still in there. I almost forgot another big plot line. I mean, I mentioned a bit of Betsy's plot. She's sort of talking about with Sam in this episode about coming out to her parents and how tough that is. Obviously she did mention it to her mother last week, but her mother didn't want to hear. And again, we see what a good listener Sam is and how supportive. And I guess in another sort of quite unsubtle moment, he sort of mentioned it to her father, but he does it in a roundabout sort of way, because he sort of makes up a story about a patient of his who's homosexual and they're having problems, and he almost uses that as a way to try and get through to her father to try and make him see sense about her sexuality. And I mean that leads to an effective dinner table scene where Betsy then confronts them with it and says, well, this is what I am, sort of deal with it. And because the father reacts the way you would probably expect him to, she then says, well, you don't have to deal with my lesbianness anymore. I'm leaving. And the mother then is obviously getting upset and saying, no, please stay. We can deal with this. And obviously there's sort of loggerheads with her and the father, but that obviously leads later to her, having the mining accident because she's getting really fatigued and shaken up by the sort of backlash of the drugs, because obviously she's getting to a place where she's now ready to leave town with her partner, with Grace. She wants to really push forward with that, but it's almost like things get on top of her and then she has that accident later. But it's a really good scene at the dinner table where she comes out and confronts her parents over this. So solid stuff again with Betsy. So yeah, that's episode 3. I am finished now of Dopesick. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Share me out on social media. I'll be back next week for episode 4. Plenty of new TV I'm covering right now on the channel. A few new shows this week, including Wheel of Time, the new Amazon fantasy series with Rosamund Pike, which has already been renewed for season 2, so I'll be covering the first episode of that this coming week, as well as the live action Cowboy Bebop. Expect an episode 1 review of that, and also a different sort of TV, slightly old, a few years old now. Me and Rachel McDonald have been covering The Haunting of Hill House, so look out for our next review of that. But thanks for listening. See you guys again soon.